19 wild card weekend of the NFL season 2023-24. This is Eric Glazer with Greg Roth, the ambassador Dave Eby. Let's get right to it. Boy, did we finish slow. Week 18 was our season low, which is impressive, seeing that week 17 was probably our worst week up to that point. Medal games, 2-6. Pick 5, 2-3. For 3-2-1, we went 2-1, earning 4 of 6 points. That was based upon the Sharps in aggregate going 38.9%. That is not good. So for the season, the regular season now has a wrap. The Sharps in aggregate 52.9%. Medal games 57.6%. Pick 5 was 55.6%. 3-2-1 61.1%, earning us 58.3% of the total available points. All that to say, disappointing season, but respectable at the same time. I'm going to go through some of the top Sharps for the regular season in just a moment. Before we do that, I want to give a shout out to the Sharp Squares members who dominated our 3-2-1 pool within our community. We hosted a 3-2-1 pool for all of our members. Take a listen to these scores. Third place, or actually tied in second, Preston Williams with 73 points. That's 67.6% the total available points. Really strong. He was tied in second with Pramod Vanjadi, also 73 points. And then the winner with 78 points, earning 72.2% of the available points, just absolutely killed it, was Mike the Yerkibo. Mike, congratulations. We should have been using your picks when we were entering in for our 3-2-1, and we would have been doing a lot better just to transpose or put those side by side. We did 58.3% of total available points. Mike, 72.2%. Dominic, congratulations to the three of you and everyone else that did really well. There were some other good scores, but only announcing the top three. For our Sharps, the guys that we use to make all of our picks and report to you each podcast, I'm going to give you our second teamers and our first teamers in that order. So for the regular season, again, as a reminder to everyone, these are sides only versus the DraftKings Pick 5 pool lines. That sometimes varies slightly from the Super Contest or other lines that our Sharps used. But this is what you have. Our second teamers leading the way. Actually, I'll move it from the bottom up. RJ White, CBS Pick 6, 55.2%. Adam Chernoff, Right Angle Sports and some other sources, 56.9%. The Whale Capper, my boy Jeff Google's favorite, from Matchbook, 57.4%. Now, the medal games, I'm going to remind you guys, was 57.6% for the season. So now we're going to talk about guys who were above the fold, still on the second team, but the captain of the second team, Scott Seidenberg from the Dream Preview, 59.4%. So there are your second teamers for the season 2023-24. Scott Seidenberg, the Whale Capper, Adam Chernoff, RJ White. The first teamers, all above the winning percentage of our medal games. Number 4, Rob Pizzillo from Forward Progress, 60% even. Number 3, Gil Alexander beating the book at 63.9%. Number 2, Stuckey from the Action Network, 64.3%. Raybon, by the way, was, I think, our number 1 guy last year. So the Action Network, that six-pack show does do well each year. So Stuckey at 64.3% at number 2. And number 1, and this would have been his second straight year as number 1. We didn't count him last year because we didn't have enough data on him. But, yeah, the number you are what your record says you are. AJ Hoffman, the Dream Preview, 65.3% on public sides. By the way, all this are just public information that we get from the shows or whatever public sources we have access to. So 65.3% for AJ Hoffman, just killed it. So our first teamers, AJ Hoffman from the Dream Preview, Stuckey from the Action Network, Gil Alexander from Beating the Book, and Rob Pizzolo from Forward Progress. All right. Last season, we killed it during the playoffs. Our Sharps killed it during the playoffs. I am not sure what's going to happen this season. We certainly ended on a really, really low note. But we've got lots of picks to discuss. We've got exciting information. We still have a methodology that gets you gold, silver, and bronze. And to provide you that, as he does during the playoffs each and every year, is everyone's favorite fellow degenerate, the Greg Roth.
Eric, thank you so much. Exciting wildcard weekend. We have 4 medal games. That's a lot considering there's only 6 games, 4 of them. None of them are gold. There is 1 silver game, and there are 3 bronze games. The silver game, the top-rated game on the board, the pick. It's the Green Bay Packers. They're plus 7.5, traveling to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. I'll note all the lines, as we have had all season, continue to be the DraftKings line. Chris Raybon, Tommy the Hitman, Fabian Summer, Whale Capper, the Favorites Podcast, and Mike Lombardi all picked the Packers. Nobody likes Dallas from our Sharps. 3 bronze games in their order of ranking. The top-rated bronze game, the pick. It's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're plus 3, a home dog, welcoming the Philadelphia Eagles to Florida. Steve Fezzik, Rob Pizzola, Fabian Summer, R.J. White, Cleve T.A., Kelly Stewart, and Will Brinson all picked Tampa Bay. Gil Alexander in dissent picked the Eagles. The second-rated bronze game, the pick. It's the Los Angeles Rams. They're traveling to Detroit to take on the Lions. They're plus 3 points. The Favorites Podcast, Cleve T.A., R.J. Bell, A.J. Hoffman, Scott Seidenberg, Ross Tucker, Rob Pizzola, Tommy the Hitman, Fabian Summer, Will Brinson, all picked Los Angeles. That's quite a esteemed list, guys. In dissent, Stuckey likes the Lions at home. The last medal game, also bronze, the pick. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're plus 10 at the Buffalo Bills. Scott Seidenberg, Gil Alexander, Rob Pizzola, the Whale Capper, and Cleve T.A. all picked Pittsburgh. There was nobody who picked Buffalo. So to recap the medal games, you have the Packers silver, Tampa Bay, Los Angeles Rams, Pittsburgh Steelers, all bronze. There are 2 other games. I'm going to let you know because we like to be full service here on the podcast. I'm going to let you know who picked those games. They did not medal either of these games. The Texans did have some points. They were close as a pick. They're plus 2.5, another home dog. Welcoming the Cleveland Browns, Rob Pizzola, Tommy the Hitman, Fabian Summer, the Whale Capper, and the Favorites Podcast all picked Houston. AJ Hoffman did like the Browns that game. Almost medaled. Houston did, but did not. And then the last game really was a 0 in our system. The Dolphins, plus 4.5, traveling to Kansas City, where they should face negative weather there. Chris Raymond and Cleve T.A. picked Miami. And Steve Fezzik and R.J. Bell picked Kansas City, also not medal. Eric, there you have it.
Well done. I can't believe the Steelers in the playoffs. So we're in a pool that we're going to be picking every game.
We have to pick every game. Yeah.
So we're just going to pretty much go down the algorithm, with the exception of the Dolphins Chiefs, and we're going to have to figure that one out offline. So maybe we'll tweet that out. That's got to figure that out as the week progresses. I do want to make a comment, and we as I mentioned earlier, we had a really good playoffs last year. We were 4-2 during this round. The algorithm is a little tricky because obviously instead of having around 15 games to choose from, our Sharps only have 6. And because it's the playoffs, and we'll have more props coming up throughout as we progress towards the Super Bowl, but a lot of people are taking sides. So we do make an adjustment for the smaller amount of games to choose from. for gold, silver, bronze status, but I just want everyone to know it's not perfect. So, 4 medal games out of 6 is a little bit wacky. And so to take all of that with a grain of salt, we use it directionally for sure. It was effective for us last year for sure. But if you live and die on sort of what we call medal status, know that a pure medal game in the playoffs is not a pure medal game as it is in the regular season.
And I would add that to that, Eric. In the later rounds, chances are none of the games will medal, right? The Super Bowl, the championship weekend. Maybe next weekend there's 4 games, 1 or 2 will. But historically, there's less picks even because there's less games. And the sharps that we follow, they focus on props and other derivatives.
And we try to mathematically adjust for it, but like I said, it's just not perfect, and we're not that smart. So listen, if all you were looking for were those picks, and by the way, we do have some great trends, and we've highlighted 4 of these 6 games. But if you just want the picks, you are now dismissed. And if you're looking for some trends, me and the ambassador are going to help you out a little bit right now. Okay, first trend from Evan Abrams at Action Network. Since 2002, quarterbacks making their first NFL playoff start, first QBs who have playoff experience, are a mere 17-35-1 against the spread. That's 32.7%. This means you may be interested in fading Houston, Miami, Pittsburgh, and Green Bay. One more trend from Bet Labs. In the past 10 NFL postseasons, home dogs are 8-3-2. Home dogs during wildcard weekend, Texans +2.5, Buccaneers +3.
All right, Eric. Trend number 3 is from ESPN. They tell us that underdogs are 20-10 against the spread in wildcard games since 2017, and 13-17 outright. And at least one underdog has won outright in each season. So if you're looking for an underdog to bet on this year, this wildcard season, the Dave Eby special lock pick of the year is the Rams. But I am a Rams fan, so take that pick with a grain of salt.
First handicapping highlight, Packers +7.5 traveling to Dallas. The theme, Packers offense is good and matches up well versus Dallas. From Chris Raybon and the Action Network, he points out that the Green Bay offense has been efficient all year, has been incredibly hot as of late, and is 3rd in the league in points per game on the road. He also notes that Jordan Love is playing his best football right now, despite injuries to the skill players around him, and he plays well against man coverage, which Dallas plays a lot of. Stuckey said he would have picked this game if Raybon didn't pick it, as this is his favorite side of the weekend. Suma from Forward Progress says Green Bay wants to run the ball to set up play action, and Dallas is set 32nd in success rate versus running back runs. From Chad Millman on the Favorites podcast, he can't find any reason to not be on the Packers. Chad, call me. I'll give you some reasons. Since November, Jordan Love has been excellent with a 21-3 TD to interception ratio. From the Whale Capper Matchbook podcast, as far as end-of-game decision-making goes, Whale wants LaFleur over McCarthy. Nobody picked Dallas. No dissent in this game. Timestamps, Action Network, 4 minutes, 5 seconds. Forward Progress, 39 minutes, 36 seconds. Matchbook, 32 minutes even. Favorites podcast, 34 minutes, 30 seconds.
The Bucs +3 hosting the Eagles. The theme here is a decent Tampa Bay offense will be even better against the struggling and banged-up Philadelphia D. Steve Fezzik from the Dream Preview has Philadelphia 2 points better on a neutral, and the game is in Tampa Bay, so the line should be a pick or Philadelphia -0.5, but he thinks the line is 3 due to how bad the Bucs have looked last week versus Carolina, and also the fact that Baker is banged up, but he says that Philadelphia is broken and their defense is playing awful. Shuma from Forward Progress doesn't like the Eagles. He thinks they're limping into the playoffs. Hurts isn't limping, but he hasn't thrown a football in a week due to that deformed digit. If he does play, he probably won't be 100%. It could be a free roll there. Tampa Bay lights to blitz, which will make it tough on the Eagles given their banged up wide receivers. And finally, RJ White from CBS Pick 6 says that Tampa Bay's offense has been very good all year, and now they're going against a struggling Philadelphia pass defense. And meanwhile, the Philadelphia offense is also beat up with all of their skill positions injured last week. There is dissent here. Gil Alexander from Beating the Book, who is on fire this season, as I mentioned earlier, he said that when he power ranks these teams, he has Tampa Bay at 14 and Philadelphia at 10. So even with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts injuries, he believes Philadelphia can push its way to victory. As far as Tampa Bay, Mayfield looks hurt and the offense can't score. Nothing about Tampa Bay looks good to him right now, so Philly has to be able to win and cover. Right? Question mark? That's a quote from the show. Timestamps. If you want to hear that illustrious quote. Beating the Buck, 37 minutes, 45 seconds. CBS Pick 6 is at 57 minutes. The Dream Preview, 2 hours, 23 minutes, 25 seconds. You are welcome. Forward Progress, 1 hour, 1 minute, 21 seconds.
Game 3 is Rams at Lions. The pick is Rams +3. The theme, we all know what it is. Matthew Stafford going back to Detroit, Jared Goff getting revenge against the Rams, and it all boils down to the Rams matching up well against the Lions. From the Dream Preview, RJ Bell thinks that Sam Laporte is the Lions' most valuable player in the red zone, so him being out is obviously going to hurt Detroit. AJ Hoffman, also from the Dream Preview, says Detroit is number 29 in PFF pass coverage and number 16 versus the pass in DVOA. This plays right into the Rams' hands as they have so many good receivers and Stafford is strong playing indoors. On defense, the Rams are number 8 in EPA run defense in the last 8 games. That's pretty good. Scott Seidenberg, also from the Dream, says the Rams have played a much tougher schedule than the Lions. Their strength of schedule is number 5 and Detroit is number 20. So take that into consideration. Hitman from Forward Progress says these two defenses are going in opposite directions. The Lions' pass defense is 25th in EPA and has gotten worse in the last half of the season. The Rams' defense, meanwhile, has improved all year and is 13th in EPA since Week 11. Finally, Suma from Forward Progress says the Lions have a phenomenal run defense when you look at the run metrics, but they do give up 42% run success rate versus the man duo concept, and that's what the Rams run. There is some dissent in this game. Stuckey and Raybon from the Action Network think that Stafford is mediocre at best when he's pressured, and Detroit can stop the run and generate pressure. Plus, the LA Rams special teams are horrendous. That is true. Finally, the Lions secondary is getting healthy and will probably play more man coverage against Stafford, who struggles against man coverage. Timestamps, Dream Preview, 2 hours and 6 seconds. Forward Progress, 46 minutes, 21 seconds. For CBS Pick 6, 47 minutes exactly. And Action Network, 40 minutes and 33 seconds.
Last medal game to pick the Steelers +10 at the Buffalo Bills. Theme, weather makes this game less than the 10-point spread. From Gil Alexander, Beating the Book, he points out that it's going to be cold with winds from 30 to 50 miles per hour. I think that's 50 miles per hour might be a Category 1 hurricane. He says that both QBs are neutralized and this becomes a scrum versus scrum and you're giving him 10 points where the total of the game is only 36 points. He'll take the 10 points every time. Scott Seidenberg from the Dream Preview, he says, look how Pitt ran the ball in the rain last week versus Baltimore. Both teams are highly ranked in both offensive rush EPA and defensive success rate versus the run. Buffalo has lost 7 straight versus spread when favored by 10 or more points, as is the case in this game. Rob Pizzola from Forward Progress, he makes the game 8 or 8.5 with the weather. He thinks the wind condenses the game a lot, and both teams probably just will run the ball. Even strong-arm Josh Allen may not be able to throw the ball, according to Rob Pizzola. From the Whale Capper Matchbook Podcast, Pittsburgh rushing attack is solid, and they will attack off tackle, which is the Bills' defensive weakness. Also, the Bills' secondary is a bit banged up and worth keeping an eye on. Will Set also agrees with Pizzola. He says the line should be 7 or 8. The 10 points is just too high to the Whale Capper. Timestamps in this game, Dream Preview, 1 hour, 25 minutes and 25 seconds. Beating the Buck, 44 minutes and 15 seconds. Forward Progress, 23 minutes, 50 seconds. Matchbook, 31 minutes, 5 seconds.
It's the playoffs. It's cold. It's stormy. We're excited. We're confident, but we are certainly not sharp. But this has been your Sharp Squares podcast.
Good luck out there.